You are now checking out
The Win Podcast,
where the everyday people
are the celebrities.
So let's get to know them.
I am a Latina creative photographer. I am a creative director. I'm a photographer. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a pain in the ass. I'm a real person every single day. I'm discovering myself every single day. I'm in my 40s, and this has just been like quite an astonishing experience. Like I'm just waking up as a woman, and waking up to my femininity and the power of us females out there.
Awesome.
That was like a
Thank you.
beautiful statement.
Yeah.
Did you rehearse that? Did you rehearse that?
No, I didn't. That's just
That was great.
It's real.
Was photography always something that you started when you was young, or this was something like you mentioned, like something just opened up inside of you and you're discovering a lot of different things in yourself? Like, when did photography reach that moment for you?
photography hit me when I was about 7 years old. I had never met my dad, so I met my dad through a photo. My mom got to tell me, this guy is your dad. And so I was like, wow, I had no memory of him whatsoever. And she was able to tell me, like, that day, that particular capture, she was able to tell me what happened the day before, what was going on. And so I got to know my dad through the stories of one picture. So I knew that automatically photography had a lot of power in it. When I got to meet my dad, I was 8 years old. And again, him showing me pictures of when he met me when I was young. And I was like, I don't even know you. I have no idea who you are. But hey, it must have been a funny moment. I was laughing in those pictures. And I looked happy in those pictures. So I just kind of knew from a very young age that photography was going to have a lot of power and a lot of influence for me. And I just went forward with that. I was like that high school annoying girl with the Kodak yellow camera, like cheap as hell,
Yeah.
taking pictures. I was so fucking annoying, but that was me. Because my mom she couldn't afford to buy me a camera. She didn't even care. She's like, no haga eso. Like, what is that?
Right.
So I was always taking pictures of like just moments. I had no idea about composition and the things that I know now and how to capture things, but it was just a way to remember things and a way to just capture a moment forever.
So when did you start learning more about it? Like technically, the technical aspects as opposed to you
The
just
technical
going.
aspect of it, I started learning about 7 years ago when I went to school. I went to Photo Uno, shout out to Photo Uno. And I went with my very first like professional camera. And I was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing in this class. People know how to really work their cameras. I just know I love pictures. And so it was a very intimidating experience for me the first few weeks. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't even know what's going on. What are they talking about? And 3 months into it, I was just like, wow, this is great. I just picked it up very quickly. I just knew what I wanted to see on film, or I knew I wanted to see what I wanted to see posted up. And it went from there.
Oh, wow.
How did you learn how to merge the two into your style, in a sense that, like, being true to yourself, also knowing it seemed like before the technical aspects came, you appreciated photography on a spiritual level and on a storytelling level because it
Right.
affected you that way. When did you learn how to, I guess, now merge the two and then find yourself through this art form?
The power of editing and the fact that I didn't want to do it. A lot of my pictures, if you see them, they're pretty raw, and maybe I do 3 to 4 edits at most. I like to capture raw moments. I like to capture raw skin. I like to capture women and men in their essence. It's just what it is. So when I learned the power of editing, and I was like, wow, I can erase everything, or I can make everything look great. I could take 20 years off this bitch. Whew. No, don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to keep her age. I want to make sure her wrinkles show. I want to show her scar if she has one. That scar 30 years from now, she may be proud that she's a survivor or that she went through it. I want to show that hair, be kinky, be crazy, be out there. Like, let's just keep it as raw as
No
possible.
lotion,
Like,
ashy.
yeah, fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. Totally raw. Like, let's just show the person who they are. So my pictures are, I'm not going to make you skinnier. I'm not going to make your skin smoother. I'm not going to take away your wrinkles. I'm going to show you how beautiful and you are just the way you are.
Did you incorporate those lessons too in your lifestyle through photography? Like the things that you want for other people and what you love to see, did it also help you along with your life?
I incorporate that with my daughter. I want my daughter to really, she's at an influential age. She's 15, about to be 16 next week. And so she's very influential right now. You see
Happy
all the
birthday, by the way.
filters and you see contacts. Thank you. You see contacts and you see her with makeup on. And so I just want her to be able to embrace her natural skin and be able to take care of the beauty that she's been given without, using so much and putting on so much and just loving herself more. So I incorporate that with my daughter. Yeah.
You have any?
No.
Oh, one. I'm. I'm.
I'm
I'm.
just going
I'm.
with the flow.
Um.
I'm not gonna say it all.
Come on.
So
It'll come.
what when you was in those classes, like what made you keep going? Because like for me, when I went to college, and I was studying like filmmaking and script writing, all that stuff. I was in a sense intimidated by other white kids that knew more than me on the technical aspect. But I knew that I was funny. I knew that my story, where I came from, I have a story to tell. Like I knew my strengths, but then at the same time, I was like, damn, I'm like one of the only Latinos in these classes and stuff like that. And it gave me a hunger to learn more and also to keep pushing through. So in those moments where you doubted yourself or you was intimidated by like other people that was in that class that probably knew more, what helped you kept on moving forward and going on?
For me, I was an early mom. I became pregnant at 17, gave birth to my son at 18. So I always was the provider as opposed to the nurturer. And nurturing in the sense of not only being able to really be there for my son and for my son at a certain age, but also not to be able to know myself at that certain age and be able to nurture my wants. So when I got to this stage of life that I was just like, wow, I'm walking to a classroom that I'm not obligated to or that I don't have to do. I'm walking into a classroom that I want to walk into because I want to learn something. I want to better myself. So though I was intimidated being around people that knew their cameras, that knew composition, that knew the verbiage that went with the industry, I was just like, I am going to learn this. This is what I want to do for myself. I owe this to myself. I'm a paralegal by trade. I went to, study in school. I quit high school. Like I was a dropout, because I had to work. I went back, I got my GED, I went back to Interboro, got my associate degree in paralegal studies. So these were things that I did because I felt like I had to do them so I can get a better job. Now I'm walking into a classroom so that Deserie can be better, so that Deserie can nurture something she's always wanted to do. So shit, nobody was gonna knock me out of that class. Like there wasn't no stopping me. There wasn't any feeling that I was gonna let take over me.
So what was your process like? You come into this classroom, you're learning all the technical stuff, but you still have your talent with how you want to take pictures. How did you incorporate what you have with the technical? Like, how did you practice? What was that like? That journey?
Well, in the classes and in the courses, they kind of give you homework. You have to take certain compositions and take pictures of certain things. So while you're taking picture of a dog or a tree or something like that, I'm like, all right, well, I want flowers in there. I want to see the dog running. I want to see the dog in its element. So my teacher always knew. She's like, you're just different. You're just doing something different. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to take pictures of video vixens, and just, show them with the ass and the titties out. I don't want to do that. I'd rather see a girl with, her Cleopatra look naturally, coming out of a shower, natural, freckles on her face. So all my homework assignments, I always put a twist of just natural and people in their essence for it. So I just kind of knew it was just kind of something I knew.
Was there any other moments, or did the relationship with your father kind of help you once you looked at those pictures and also was hearing the stories? Did it help you in a sense where your relationship with him when you finally met him,
Yeah.
or was it still challenging, because maybe you didn't like him in person but you liked him more in pictures, because like pictures could share 1,000 words, you know what I'm saying, but then you finally meet the person, it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna have to work on this, but in pictures I like you more.
I had recognition of now what he looked like. I never knew what he looked like, so now I can see him and now I was like, all right. And then the stories gave me a personality, but I didn't learn to love him until I knew him. I didn't love him. I just looked at him like, oh, you're a dad. Well, what is a dad? Like, what is that? Like, you help make me. Okay, great.
Right.
good job, guy.
Right.
I'm cute. Thanks. Like, but like, I don't know what that means and what that signifies. So a picture just helped me kind of put a small part of his personality together of who he was when he met my mom and what was that like. Gave me a face, but it initiated wanting to get to know what that was and who that was and what it was going to mean in my life.
When was a moment for you when you're going through all these trials and tribulations in your life, being a young mother, at that time, very, probably a tough part of your life was like, what am I going to do? So when was the moment for you where it kind of clicked that like, okay, I'm something for everyone in life, but when am I going to be something for myself?
When I got married, my husband, had his own business already prior to our marriage. And we sat there and, when you get married and when you meet someone and when you meet family, it's almost like an ongoing interview. Like every fucking body wants to know you. Well, everybody wants to know what you've done. Everybody wants to
Yep.
know how to pinpoint you. It's like meeting people. So I'm here meeting, mind you, not for nothing, but my husband's family is Jewish, and I'm here a loud Boricua. Like, come on now. So there's that white essence where just like, well, what do you do, and what school
Yeah.
do you go
Oh,
to,
yeah.
and God,
You
and
was
so
like, first
my
of all,
God.
you don't know my life.
like,
That
listen,
is
I survived
so
off of cupones and gandules for quite a while. Is that a story for you to hear? Like, do you want to know
word.
that? My school was in the projects in Washington Heights. Like, it just said Interboro Institute. I was like, fuck it, let me just walk in there. And it was in a project building. Like,
Nice.
you know what I mean? Like, that's how vivid my life has been. I didn't have a picket fence and, triangle
Yep.
business
Yep.
family type shit. Like, that didn't happen for me.
Honest.
Yeah.
So it was really that moment where I had to keep explaining who I was. And the more I heard myself, the more I heard, well, I'm just a job. I'm just whatever job I was in. I was a waitress. Great. I was a paralegal. Great. I worked in a movie theater. That's who I was at that time. That's all I was for people because that's all I did, right? And so I could tell them, oh, I love photography and I love art and I love creating things, but I never really did it. So it's more like, talking shit or of a hobby that you'd had that you never practiced. So that was it. When I got married, it was just like, wow, I have to tell all these people, all these Jewish successful people what I am. And shit, I'm just a job.
And then now it's like, oh, you take pictures of things. Cool.
That was like, now it has like, oh, I'm a photographer. Like I went to school, but yes, I also have my own
Yeah.
studio. So
That's what's
like,
gonna-
it's almost like I'm a photographer. I went to school, and there you go, bitch. I have my own studio. So yeah, it's official. It's real. It's like, I really do this. I have an Instagram to prove it and a website, You always gotta like, it's like you gotta justify who you
Right.
are, what you're doing, and people just don't. I guess I just didn't remind myself, like, really, you are what you do, or what you don't do, and what you do defines you, and what you haven't done makes you kind of feel empty. And after a while, you hear yourself about that. Kind of what it was for me.
How having your children, how did that also feed into the inspiration with also, because I know that when you have children, you tend to like your sense of self is to the
Gone.
side, gone. It's your kids, your kids, your kids. So how did that nurture you, but also, put that in the forefront? Like, you know what? I got to think about me too.
Again, I didn't do that until I hit about my late 30s. I didn't do that. It was always, work, 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 two jobs. I've been working two jobs since I was 18 till at least 32. Always had two jobs, always had a hustle, always had this, always had to do that. So my kids just inspire me to won't stop, can't stop, can't stop. Even if I was tired, even if I wanted to do something, can't stop. Once I got married and they got a little older, they're now gonna be 16 and 24. So they got into their older stages. I was like, wow, I got a break. I noticed I had a weekend off. And I was like, I have a weekend off. Like, holy shit, what do I do? So, it went from let me smoke weed for a little bit. Let me have fun with that. Let me smoke a joint for the first time and get high and streak all over the neighborhood if I want to, and nobody gives a shit. Like,
Freedom.
nobody. Let me have a shot of glass. You know what? Fuck it. Let me cook bad food because I'm not a great cook. Let me cook bad food. Let me have a fucking cup of wine and let me just sit here and
Let me
watch.
shower and shit
Let
in
me
peace.
let me fucking shave. Can I fucking shave?
Yo,
Can I fucking shave? Even though I can't see myself right now, but let me fucking shave. Like shit like that was going on. And it just started growing. It just started going from the littlest things. Oh my God, my girlfriend calls me and I can actually go out with her without worrying about shit. So it was just like little discoveries because when you're a teen mom and a young mom, you either lean on someone or you just lean on yourself. And I just really much leaned on myself. So as I got into my 30s, it was just like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can twerk. It's so better. Like, yes, I can wear G string and not worry about somebody asking me where my panty line is. Like, it's great. It's great.
That's awesome.
So
that
That's
is
I
awesome.
had fun with that.
great. That's so wonderful.
When when did you start the process now of owning and having your own studio? Like take us down that journey now, like where you this is it's another level of you taking your craft and what you do serious. And I could imagine that, along with a lot of things is it could be nerve wracking, right? Because this is an investment, it's another big level that you're doing. So take us down the journey of when you had that idea of like, I want my own studio, and then two, making it happen, making that dream come true.
So you know when you get married, there's this little box that people put envelopes of money in.
Yes.
It was like, yes, people gave me money. Like I
And there was
got
a lot of
money,
white people gave you
and
money
I don't
too.
have any white people.
Yeah.
Where's checks? I was like, yes. People gave me money. So I went to school. I graduated. I finished. And the first thing I said to my professor was like, I'm gonna open up my own studio. I'm gonna use you guys' studio for a little bit, but I'm gonna open up my own studio. 2 months later, I brought him to a space, and I was like, "This is my space," and he was like, "This is great. This is what we do with it." So I took that little envelope money and that little box money from my wedding, and I invested it. And I was like, you know what? Sure, with my paychecks, I can make the rent, but I know that with this art, I'm gonna make the rent too as well. And I started hosting, like interviews for a group of photographers that wanted to work with us under the name. And those photographers are amazing. Shout out to Hans, Chris, and Patrick, and Jabbar, and Brianna, and all of these people were great. And then my first model was Jocelyn from the Wine Down.
Yes, yes. We love her.
Yes.
Love her. So she would just come in and just give me model, face, 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 which gave me contact. And so I was just like, this is it. So 3 months after I finished school, I opened up my studio with the highest of hopes, but I was so confident, so conceitedly confident that this is gonna pop off. I knew I had a group of people. I knew I had a powerhouse of teachers behind me to help me make sure that the studio was equipped the right way. I had a husband that was backing me up, and I had kids that were not giving a shit about me. They were living their own life already, so they don't care what I'm doing. So I was just like, yeah, this is it. So I did it. It was done. Fuck it.
Did
Congrats on that, by the way.
congratulations. That's
Thank
double.
you.
Did you have any challenges throughout that process? Was there anything that you went through that like you had to stumble upon and like overcome?
Oh yeah. There's like many studios and photography studios in New York City. So here I am dealing with an 800 square feet white studio. And FD Studio, shout out to FD Studios, is a couple of blocks away with 10 different rooms. And I'm just like, really? Location, 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 location. So it became more of a okay, they've got a lot more to offer, but they don't have me. They don't have my personality. They don't have my dedication. If they did, they'd be doing better. But
Yeah.
but they don't have me. So I just got to show off a little bit of me, and I got to show off my guys and let us see. So I started hosting like openings and people just to come in, $20 shoots so people could just come in the studio. And little by little, people started to support the small business, but the personal part of the small business. We became kind of like a pixel family, and people would just come in and do their, and they felt comfortable. So that was a win-win for
Wow,
me, right?
that's
How
great.
how do you stay open as an artist to continue to learn in photography, and and also as a human being too? Maybe there's something that you was open about that, like, oh, I could incorporate that in my photography. So how do you remain, like, you know, everyone has a certain level of ego, but like not let that block any new information to come in, to be interested, and also be like a child to be like, oh, I want to learn that. Oh, I love that information. I'm gonna use that.
I think that it depends on the project. You know, it depends on every project and every person that you meet. You meet a mom that just finished losing weight. You want to keep her raw. You want to keep her confident. You meet a client that wants to show off their product. They're working with lighting and editing. You meet a model that wants to look like the video vixen and make sure that her curves are great. You work with it. So I think it all depends on the project. I'm open to doing certain things, but as long as it really signifies me, like I want to be able to look at the picture and say, yeah, that was really my work, and me and that client worked together on this idea. It took off well. That's amazing. I'm open to always looking at other people's styles. I kind of do a lot of photography research and editing research, and I stay in touch with a lot of photographers because their styles are out there. But not only their styles, the way they get clients, the way they keep clients, how they work, where they work, if they're traveling, what cameras, what lenses they're using, what programs are they using that might help me, might not help me. Every phase of photography is different. When I do what I want to do, it keeps it raw. But when I have to work with the client, I do medical photography as well. I do a lot of different photography, real estate. So it all depends on what the client wants, how I have to adjust myself. But you have to, like anything you do, you have to keep that wheel going. You have to be able to keep an open mind about things. If you stay stuck, you stay lost. So you have to just keep going. You have to make sure you're open to everything.
What I was gonna say, what has photography, when you think about it, and all of the years in your life, you look back on it, what has photography brought to you that you didn't realize you needed until you started doing it so consistently that you're like, wow, it was deeper and it was bigger than taking pictures, but I didn't know that this provided that until I sit back and thought about
One simple word: friends.
it. Nice.
Friends. I was always working. I had to go to work and come home, go to work and come home. And so when you're young and you're 19 and 20, no 19 and 20-year-old wants to go hang out with you in your house with kids
Yep.
crying, you know? So what I didn't know that I really needed was just friends.
Where do you want to take this now with the photography? What is something, you don't have to reveal like everything you have list that you're gonna do for the next, but what is the next phase of, like, you're looking forward to take your photography to?
I want to, one, get a bigger studio with more rooms. Two, I want to continue to be published. I've been published a couple of times, but I want to continue to be published. I want to be published more for black and white. I like black and white pictures, so I think that that's the new phase that I'm going to go into more and work on more black and white pictures. But I'm just going slowly. Photography is ever evolving. I'm thinking about video, but not quite sure about video yet. But I'm thinking about it just because it might help, just kind of broaden up the business. It's something I don't have any experience. I'd have to go back to schooling for. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I have to go to school for it. But my photography mostly just discover more of my black and white, make some more, people happy. Um, and I'm just really discovering more and more. Like it's only been about 6 years in photography, so it's just like I keep going and going and going and going. I could tell you since 7, but professionally, it's still brand new. It's still exciting.
I think your story is so inspiring because you had so many loops, ups and downs, right? And then like photography and pictures will always giving you messages since young. But I love that you took control of your life and was
Mm.
like, this is what I want to do, and I don't have the experience, but it's not going to stop me, right? Because if anything, life is harder than any other shit that I'm going to learn about photography right
Oh
now.
yeah.
And I push through, and I know I have that fighter spirit. And
Oh
I think
yeah.
that's so beautiful And I would like to know what advice you would give to other, mothers or maybe people that are in your shoes that like maybe they felt stuck for a while. Maybe they're wearing so many hats for many other people's, but they're not wearing their own hats for themselves, but they want to do something. What is the advice you would give them to start to take that first step?
For mothers, especially young mothers, it's more like you will get to a point of your life where you'll be able to do what you want to do, but remember to always make time for yourself. Don't get lost in your obligations. Like, make sure that you are empowering yourself by giving yourself some time, getting to know yourself time. Write down your dreams, write down your goals, have a vision board, you know, do what you have to do to maintain your life and go forward, but never forget that you are the individual that keeps that wheel going. So if you don't nurture yourself, that wheel will stop. That hope will stop. You have to keep it going. For new photographers is basically play with your camera. Take pictures of everything, of everyone. Embrace every bad picture, embrace every good picture, and find where you think it's the best part. Like what part of that picture was the best? What did you like when you captured it? Um, and for everyday life, just don't stop. Just keep it going. Just keep going no matter what. No matter what hurdle you get, you can jump over it.
And what about when they doing photography and they have the normal fears and doubts in their lives, as any artist will have them during the roads? What would you tell that person?
It's okay. It's okay to doubt your work. It's okay to not know. And it's okay to say, I don't know. Get another fellow photographer and just say, you know what? I don't know how to do this. I don't think this is right. Not knowing, not being aware is okay. That's the best part of photography. The more you don't know, the more you're going to want to know, and there's somebody always out there to help you. If not, come to Pixel because I'll help you.
Hey, information is gonna
Like
be.
that pitch.
All the information is gonna be there. Follow her.
Yes, definitely follow her.
So, Deserie, we're gonna move forward now
the
to our
next
first segment of the show, and it's called "Let's Look Inside." And there's 3 questions for "Let's Look Inside" segment.
And
Yeah.
the
Remember, I'm
first
a high school
question,
dropout, so go for it.
It's all good. There's no big words. It's
No.
not a test. You're good. Whatever comes to mind.
It's not multiple choice.
But if we don't like the answers, you gotta bring us your GED back. We're gonna give it back to school. But
Throw that shit at you. Go.
The first question is, what do you love most about yourself?
My bravery. I'm very brave. No matter how intimidated I get, I just kind of swallow it up and choke it up, no pun intended, and I keep it going.
That's what she said, but that's great bravery. There's bravery in that too.
There is bravery in that. Lots of it.
The second question is, what does the American dream mean to you?
To have experience and work in what you want to do. To be able to follow your dream. Not the dream that's out there, not the dream that your family or society has put you in, but to literally say, I lived that moment. I wanted that moment and I lived that moment. That's the American dream.
Nice.
I like that.
The last one?
The last one is, if the average lifespan was 40 years, how would you live your life differently?
Wow, that's a good one. If the average lifespan was 40 years, I think I would have asked more questions when I first found out I was pregnant. I would have reached out to mothers more than just saying, I laid there, I did this, I'm responsible. I think I would have reached out to another mother and said, how hard is it? What's the challenging part? My own mom didn't do that for me, and I just didn't ask. I just felt responsible to keep the baby. But I would have asked. I would have asked what motherhood is like before I just jump into it.
You are now checking out
The Win Podcast,
where everyday people
are the celebrities.
So let's get to know them.